surprise, we're live on time, early for the first time ever. Let me switch over to my face. Thank you so much for joining me. Ooh, the light is terrible. The white balance is all over, but I can fix it. It's my lame Mac camera. But if you look at my table, I arranged everything for you. So thank you so much for being here. Don't worry, for everyone who is not here yet, I'm not going to start doing anything too significant until it's actually the time for streaming. I just thought I'd start in advance just to check on the quality of the stream and to make sure that it is passable. So I'm happy to have you here. Today we're gonna paint sheep, and I'm gonna repeat everything I'm saying now. But it would be great to start on time because we have 3 different scenes to paint today. So give me some feedback. Let me know how the audio is, how the buffering issues, video. I hope everything is okay. And I'm just gonna start reading your chat. So we have Christine Bourgeois saying good morning. We have Ana Oliveira saying good morning from Brazil. We have Catherine Lombardo saying good morning from Toronto. Kelvin says it is live. You're correct. My Tooth Crown says hello. Lydia Garcia says hi. Kelvin, I'm in the middle of a painting, so I might not be as active. Yeah, no worries. You can listen in, have me open in the background. Perfectly fine with that. Actually, it reminds me of something. When I sort my cards, my Pokemon stuff, I just look at other people who sort their stuff and talk about Pokemon related stuff. So it's fun to listen to something that is kind of low key in the background. My Tooth Crown, I don't have a Discord. Maybe I should open one. Everyone keeps telling me about Discord. I mean, I'm using it for different things. Like I'm in other people's or other communities' Discord, but maybe I will. So Calvin saying the audio is okay means the video is not. Let me know. But hopefully today it'll be fine. We won't be looking at a PowerPoint presentation. And in the meantime, let me read who else is here. We have Joanna Yu says, hi, good evening from the Philippines. We have a Burmese girl's diary. Hello from Myanmar. You're my teacher in watercolor, Liron. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kelvin. Thank you, my Tooth Crown, for asking. If I open one, I'll let you know for sure. Bushan Patil says, good evening, sir. Lydia Garcia from Spain. Elisa S., good morning from California. Rohit Rocks says, hey, Liron. By Alexander says, hello. Sheila Birch says, it's so hot here. Guess where? Oh, I don't know. I have no idea. Is it U.S.? Somewhere in the U.S.? I know there are a lot of places that are hot right now in the U.S. Let me know. Or it could be anywhere else. Bang Napi says, good evening from Indonesia. Anthony Joseph, hi, Liron. Hi, good evening from Malaysia. Menech says, hi, Liron, good evening. Kim says, it's a rare African upside down sheep. Oh, is it? We're going to get to this one in just a second. You should have a server. Yeah, yes, I'll open one. I'm going to write down a note. We're starting with the notes already. So, Discord. I'll open one. Why not? I mean, it could be fun. It's not like I have enough social media places to hang out in. Sophia says, looks interesting. I've painted a lot of llamas, but not a sheep yet. Are you from Israel? Yes, that is true. My Tooth Crown. I'm from Tel Aviv, to be more precise. Ray says, hello, good to be here again from Canada. Kelvin says, videos okay as well. Thank you. Laura, good morning from California, everyone. No stop motion. Thank you, Kelvin. Happy to be here. Omer Rosenbaum, I'm here ready for the sheep drawing. Thank you for being here. Rohit Rocks says, hi, Liron. Hey, Rohit Rocks. 715. I blow him. Hello from the Netherlands. Sheila says, you're all wrong. It's England. Cold, rainy England is blistering. So wait, is it hot now in England, or are you just joking? John Haleron, I hope you're well, my friend. Thank you so much, John. My Tooth Crown says shalom. May M. Hi from Norway. Max Musterman, hello from Germany. Looking forward to this demonstration. Vanessa Huygens, hi, Liron. Finally, we get hot weather too in Belgium. Shahid says hello from London. German says, hola, good morning. Will be interesting painting for sure. Thank you. Yeah, so what time is it? We still have 2 minutes, because keep them coming. I'm going to read everyone's messages. I tried promoting this live stream a little more than usual, just to make sure more people know about it, because I have great plans for it, and I wanted to make sure that you're here and you know about it. Now, something that if you're here early, you'll get a kind of insider. There's going to be maybe a surprise near the end. I'll show you. I don't think anyone has an idea what it is. Maybe some people saw it coming, but it's going to be cool. So I will share something with you near the end maybe, or if there will be too much pressure, maybe before that. So keep that in mind as we proceed. Bushan says love from India. Thank you so much. Isabella says hi from Ontario, Canada. My tooth crown is really hot in Israel right now. Yes, it's terrible. Sheila, no, it's very, very hot, but your painting makes me forget. Yeah, good. We will paint kind of summery scenes today. So I'm sorry I didn't plan for snow painting, but maybe next time, Sheila. Petunia says good morning from Georgia, US. Wolf Spirit 9 says hi from Yorkshire, the homeland of sheep. Cool. So let me get into some of the reference we'll paint. Just to give you a quick kind of overview, for anyone who's joining right now, this is the official time of the live stream, so thank you so much for being here. I have great plans for this one. We will need to make use of all of these 2 hours, so I may go fast in some parts, especially the painting sections, okay? So just know that. And my apologies if it's going to be less talking, but for now, you see, we're still talking. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to paint 3 scenes of sheep, and here is my idea. I want to show you how the subject differs based on our point of view and what we're seeing in the scene. So let me explain. Here we have a sheep really close up the face, and you can see the reference photo right here. Beautiful, beautiful one. And then, and I linked down below in the description, you can find all the references, all of my sketches, and black and white versions for the one I will paint black and white, which is the second one. So we're going to paint this one afterwards, so kind of zooming out a bit. And here is our reference for that. And lastly, we'll paint something that's more of a scene, right? So we'll do this one. And here's our reference for that. I also have a black and white version, just in case we'll need to reference it, and we probably will. And it's going to be fun, again, I think, to see how the same subject, from different viewpoints, different distances, it will really affect the painting, because at the end of the day, for every painting, you want to have a kind of an idea carrying it and something that you want to convey. And when you're looking so up close at your subject like this, you will see a lot more details. Let me get this closer and then move this a bit. You will just see so many more details, and the focus turns becomes the face itself. But then when you zoom out, you will start seeing less of it and more of the kind of overall composition. And finally, it's just composition, more looser shapes, let's say. And I have mentioned that there may be a surprise near the end. I'm not even sure what it will depend on. We'll see how I feel about it. But I'm going to share with you maybe something really cool. So yeah. So let's see quickly who's in the chat, and then we'll move on to the first process. I just want to make sure that more people get in, because we're just now supposed to be starting. So Cheesepin says, yay for sheep. I'm spitting Cormo across fleece now. So I don't have any idea what it is, but I guess a quick Google search. Okay, yeah, I get it. Will tell me. Okay. Feel free to detail. May says hello from steaming Tel Aviv. Yes, it's really bad. Thank you for being here. Dragonfly Art, hi Liron. James, Philadelphia, Indiana, says, yeah, I got you live today. So happy. Richard Bennett, good afternoon from sweltering hot UK. By Alexander, I got your live today too. Yeah, thank you so much. So I see a lot of people who don't normally catch the live do catch it, so I'm happy for that. And I think we can jump into it. Let's get this process out of the way quickly, because we have a lot to do. So I'm weighing my options for this one and where I should begin. You know what, let's do something fun. Let's start from the background here, paint around the sheep, and then move on to the main thing. Before that, I may do one quick thing, and that is I may establish some of the paint of the highlight over on the face, okay? So it's gonna be a very light yellow. Now, you look at this scene, and if you look carefully, you'll see a bit of blue, a bit of yellow, kind of cool, warm, foreground, background. You'll see quite a lot. And you have to understand that, again, as I mentioned, these types of colors are very rare in nature. So everything you see here is a very muted version of colors, which is why I'm not too worried about a dirty palette in this example, because I can really get a lot done by using kind of neutralized paints, because that's what you would often see in real life, okay? Now I do feel like this should be a little warmer, so I will add a bit of red to it, and we're ready to go. Let me just get this kind of a layer of highlights out of the way. So I'm literally painting the highlights, and you know me, that's not something I often do. I'll often start a different way or paint kind of an initial wash covering everything, but I think for this one it makes sense for me. So let's get the highlights kind of out of the way, and you can be a little sloppy here because we'll cover it with a darker wash. And I've talked about this in a recent video, you know, what's the point of doing an initial wash, and there is a point to it, but in some scenes, for some scenes, I actually feel really good about kind of painting the highlights, even if it's a little sloppy. I find that it does end up looking pretty good. Now, some of these highlights you'll notice are white. In the middle of this yellow, you actually have white, and that's what gives it the feeling of warmth, just the yellow around. But the epicenter of the highlight is white. And that's something you want to have in mind when you're kind of calculating the value. And it's very frequently that you'll see cars taillights red. The epicenter, the very center of that is actually white, and around it you have a bit of red, and that's what causes the illusion of red. That's what usually happens. By the way, I'm with my AirPods today, no big bulky headphones, so if it somehow loses connection or something like that, maybe we'll lose the audio and then I'll fix it. Just have in mind that's something that may happen. Now this is such a light wash and such a quick one. I can put it, I have a bit of sunlight here. I'm just gonna put it here to dry. We won't even need a hairdryer. In the meantime, I'll talk strategy. So what am I seeing here? I see this background, and the utmost important thing here is to keep it smooth, right? Because it's the background. We don't want too many sharp corners, hard edges, none of that. We're gonna paint a neutral, almost white, and then we'll move on to a very muted kind of bluish green. Then we'll move to a bit of a warmer yellow green. We'll carry this wash top to bottom, one go, no stops, super wet. Make sure that it's super smooth. And if you remember, this is kind of like my painting process of the Converse shoes, because I had that same kind of a very blurry, it's a shallow depth, right, photography, so this is super sharp and the background is super blurry. To get that effect, we have to keep the wash going and for it to stay very wet. That's one of the challenges of watercolor, but I think we can get it. So let's put it here, and we have 3 shots today, so if I mess up one of these, maybe the next one will be better, and if not, then maybe the next one will be better. So let's switch over to Escoda. I'm gonna alternate between all of my brushes. I have clean water today just for you. Let's see that everything's good on my end. Yeah, okay, that's good. Dragonfly, you can definitely post art inspired by my pieces. Don't worry about like copyrights or anything like that. Feel free to use whatever you want. I would be happy for you to give me credit. Of course, just say that it's based on my process or whatever, as you would for any artist. I recommend doing that always if you're using someone else's art. But yes, feel free to share anything. Like, I go as far as to say, if it's not a complete copy and you sell it, like, I don't care. Sell it. Have fun. Make money with your art. I'm actually perfectly fine with that. For the most part. Like, if someone's consistently stealing all my paintings and then opens a gallery and it has the exact same paintings, you know, there is it's not a legal thing that I agree to right now, but I'm just saying, like, generally speaking, if someone paints based on my paintings and someone is like a friend or someone interested in purchasing, like, who am I to stop you, you know? So I'm just starting with kind of a purpley bluish wash here. I actually could go with a bit more of a yellow or golden. Let's neutralize this just a bit and see just that we don't get to overwork land here, right? And as we get here, we're going to start darkening. Look at the angle I have here. I use my larger tape rather than this smaller one, because I really need to make sure that nothing dries on me. And then I'm going to switch to this nice muted green mixture. It may appear super dark, but remember, this is going to dry much lighter. So here we go, like that. And hopefully that will give us, and I'm going to mute it just a bit with a bit more red. 2 reds. I have here Perlin Red and Pyrrole Scarlet. I'm just going to use both interchangeably, kind of like this. And should I go lighter? Probably a bit. Let's go a little lighter here. And we'll see if we got it a little too dark, that's fine, but this wash is, the layer is super wet, so you may be surprised at just how light this one dries, right? And then let us mix. Well, it's probably not gonna dry as light. Let's go like this. Just add a bit of water to it, but it's fine. I don't mind pushing the contrast actually in some areas here. And I'm not gonna touch it anymore because I'm afraid that if I will, it may create background. So I'm gonna leave it like that. Maybe a little too dark, but that's fine. It's nothing too crucial that will, you know, ruin the painting or anything like that. And now we're gonna switch to a lighter, kind of warmer green. Right, now the key here is, again, in addition to getting the values accurately and getting all of that stuff, and I'm gonna switch to more yellow, I think. The key here is to keep the wash going, right? That's the most important part here. The edges here got kind of messed them up, but that's fine. It's gonna be relatively abstract there below at the chin. But again, the idea here is, and I do have a bit of kind of slippage here. Let me get back some of this. Yeah, so the idea here is just to get a wash that's even and flows as much as possible. Now let me dry this real fast with the hairdryer so I don't get any weird backgrounds, and we'll continue. Just 1 second. So this is what happens when you get a little too excited too soon. I got this a little too dark, as you can see, but that's fine. It's actually not going to hurt the impression too much here, and I will try to be more careful for the next washes. So here's what I'm seeing here. Yeah, good. It was too late to lighten it, so worst case, we'll learn from it. But yeah, it is definitely too dark. I should have gone much lighter. Now we're going to start working on the face and the body. This is one wash, okay? No need to complicate it. This is actually just one wash all the way top to bottom, right to left, kind of diagonal, I think. And what we see here is, because it's more at the front, you see more of that blue. The blue on the face is a little more, you can feel it, which is why, and I'm going to just wipe off. Who would have thought I'd ever do something like that? Actually clean my palette midway through the process. I'll just get rid of some of that, and I'll use this well to mix that kind of a more, or maybe even this one, and I'll use it to mix the warm one. But regardless, these are all kind of neutral, okay? Whatever color you'll sample here, use Photoshop, use whatever you can, if you want to give it a try. Whatever color you'll sample here, it's still a muted blue. A muted yellow is just less muted than this, okay? Now let's see real quick the comments. Good. I promise I will go over them, but I think maybe we'll kind of push this one all the way till the end before that, okay? So I'm gonna mix here a bit of that blue, and that's gonna be a much more, like, you're gonna feel the blue here. And then maybe I'll use a different brush to mix kind of the warmer section. So this is gonna be our blue, and this is gonna be our warm, right? And I'm gonna separate the brushes too. That way it's going to be easier for me to tell. Now you see, this is yellow. This is not yellow here. This is actually muted color. So let's mute it. First red, then blue. Maybe we'll use the same blue for the cool part, right? Now my priority with this wash is, in fact, the smoothness of it. It's relatively large. It's covering a large space. And let's add a bit of French ultramarine. And that may be a problem. So we need to make sure we mix enough to start with. And while we're painting too, right? So I'm mixing this. Let's neutralize it with a bit of what I have on the other wells. And let's test it out. I forgot to use the test paper earlier. So that's a bit too green. So how will we neutralize the green? We'll use a bit of red. Let's see what we get here. and then maybe a bit of French. I'm just trying a few combinations to see what will work. So this looks a little more similar. So I'm gonna work with that. We'll see how it goes, right? And we may need to, I don't know how it'll work in terms of value because the background's a little darker. So we may have to compensate for it, and we may not. Who knows? We'll see. Now, one tip I can give you already for the fur is most of the magic will be in the edges. So if you can get a varied edge that kind of hints at a texture, that's how you're going to convey the fur, not by actually painting each and every blade of hair or whatever it is, right? So you want to avoid painting each and every detail. You see, that can be too much. I'm going to stick to the blue sections for now. I'm going to skip anything else because I really want to make sure that I get a relatively even wash. This is all in the shadow, but here you get to see a bit of the texture showing through. And I'll try avoiding, again, the land of overwork here. And kind of try like this. And what's interesting is this is a bit blurry too. Like we actually get a soft edge here. So let's try it out. And this is a great example of a process where you're looking at it and there's a lot of uncertainty. Think to yourself, will it work? Will it not work? It looks strange. But bear with me and bear with the process, and you will be surprised at the kinds of results you can achieve. Okay, so a big part of it is trusting the process. So please try. I know it can be hard. So I'm going to try and work as fast as I can. In fact, I'm going to start. Let's do a bit of dual action here. I'm going to start. This is all in the shadow. So let's just cover it up and kind of make sure we don't lose this edge. And then we'll go like this to keep it wet, and we'll continue down here. So sometimes you need to have you need to be ambidextrous for these things. No, I'm kidding, but yeah, I'm gonna switch between the two probably more in the next stages. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see if it will make sense in the end. And if not, you know, we tried, but hopefully it will. See now, when the blue is fresh out of the tube and it's so strong, it's very easy to get too much of it. So I'm trying to avoid that. And I'm also trying to, again, work fast enough so that no crucial parts of the wash dry. You'll notice I kind of dipped into red, so I have to be careful not to touch that. And here it gets a little warmer, believe it or not, near the bottom. So let's warm it up. We have some reflected light from the scene, and we can actually use this mix to get it a little warmer and then continue. My priority here is the flow, right? So I'll make sure that I maintain as much of that flow as possible before it dries. Now, is it too dark? I don't think so. I'm kind of, I'll have to look at it and consider it. And by the way, it may look funny because, again, we still haven't established the dark. So once we do it, we'll put a lot of things in the right spots. But hopefully it starts to create some kind of an illusion, right? It looks like something resembling of a sheep. Now, if we switch over to a smaller brush, and I'll use that to kind of bring out some of the details here, like that, just a bit. I'm not sure exactly like what I'm doing. I'm just kind of looking at it and putting what I see. So I see a bit of greenish kind of, oops, that's way too much. That's a problem with fresh paint out of the tube. But I see a bit of greenish here in the eye, in the shadowy part. So let's get that in. And there is a bit of a dark bit in it. Believe it or not, I'm reaching for the black just to save some time on mixing. It really is a neutral black, so I can use it. It's fine. And a bit of shadow between the kind of, I don't know, eyelashes or whatever. There's a lot of kind of abstraction here, so it's not the easiest type of reference to paint, but let's see if we can get it to look good. I'm gonna, while this is still wet or damp, I'm gonna put in those details. You see, kind of a smiley face, and don't worry, there's a bit more work to do, like in a larger scheme, darkening some spots. We're not done with this, right? But for now, we're close to finishing, at least with this wash. So I think we'll let it dry. I'll look at some of your questions and then we'll continue. But you start to get the impression, right? I hope it works. It looks funny, but I like it. I like it a lot. So let's see what you're saying real quick. We'll address some questions and then we'll continue. I do want to get all 3 processes done today, so we may have to go with one, like burst through it without any talking. So I'm just going to scroll back up a bit, and we'll see here. Thank you, Alexander. Thank you, Sujanith. I hope you're doing well. Anivar, hello, Liron. Been waiting for this. Thank you. Thank you, Dragonfly. Marco, good morning, everyone. And don't forget to like. Thank you so much for saying that, everyone. If you can take a moment and like this stream, it helps it reach more people. Thank you so much. And by the way, I keep forgetting to plug my course. If you want to learn how to paint, really remove a lot of the pressure, paint freely, get the process, the result you want, be sure to check out that frustration-free watercolor course. Link is always in the description box below. Cormox is a type of sheep bred for fiber. Oh, okay. Had no idea. Christian is here from Hamburg, Germany. Thank you so much. Nancy G from Akron, Ohio. Ohio squad is here. Indiana, I'm from Brazil and never get it live. Thank you so much for being here then, Indiana. Suvik says, hey Liron, hello from India. Thank you for being here. Anthony Joseph, Liron, is it possible to name the colors you are using? Yes, my apologies. I always say I will and I forget while I'm doing that. So this is my, what do you call it? Manganese, yeah. Manganese blue hue, French ultramarine. So I'm using a cool blue and a warm blue, right? Then I have Perlin red for a neutral kind of warm-ish red, and then I have Spiral Scarlet for a very warm red. Sorry, I'll shut my phone. And then I have Indian Yellow, and these will be the only colors I'll be using for this one probably. If I use anything else, I'll let you know. Okay? So I hope that helps. Let's see here. Chet jumps. Chet likes jumping on me. Yeah, Kelvin, I find animal easy to draw and paint as long as the main shapes are clear. Yeah, that's usually the challenge if they're not. So furry animals are difficult because their long fur hides their shape. Yeah, you need to kind of account for that. Really take a zoomed out approach and look at the main parts of the shape. Dragonfly Art, I have a question. Can I post art inspired? We answered that. Kelvin, initial wash is the toning stage. It is a cheating way to sneak color into white, so it'll create illusion of your painting looking more complex than it really is. Yeah, there's some truth to that. Jacqueline says Brazil and claps. Dragonfly Art, thank you so much, appreciate the permission, no worries. Sujanith, could we use masking fluid? Yes, you could, but I actually like it a little yellow, so I did the yellow. Why can't we use wet and wet for background? As that, why can't we use wet on wet? Yeah, definitely you can. When I have this kind of a background layer that is, it starts with something, it moves gradually to something else, and then to something else, I like to do it top to bottom rather than pre-wet and put the paint, but it will definitely work. If you have good enough control in wet and wet, which is something I'm still working on, you can do it. But yeah, I'm not a fan of masking fluid, so you have, do you have a brand suggestion that works for you? I've tried the Winsor & Newton one, and most of the time it ruins my paper. So Sophia, yeah, great question. I don't like it too for the most part. It didn't ruin my paper so far. I just wasn't able to incorporate it well enough into my process. What I would recommend is to use one of those pens. I think these work a little differently, and some people can recommend them in the chat. I'm not sure which one, but there is a pen with masking fluid. Pierre Schilling and masking fluid sticks. Yeah, it definitely sticks. Laura, PBO drawing gum if you are going to use masking fluid. Interesting. Hi Yusuf, how are you? Harriet, if I painted that, I would have freaked out as it was so dark, but now it looks perfect match. Thank you so much. Chris says, cool. Angela says, hi from Alberta, Canada. Yusuf says, Liron, please paint figure. I will do figure paintings and drawings. I promised you I will. I have trouble with values. Any help? Yeah, do a value scale. I will go into much more detail about it in my next course. Okay, I promise. There's a big thing I plan for it. Verena Weber, hi again from Berlin. Subasis, hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly. Hey Liron, you are really a great painter. Thank you so much. So with that compliment, we'll continue. So let me see here. There are a few corrections to the face, a few small ones and a few large ones. Well, let's actually work on the large scale ones first. It's not even corrections, it's just additions. So, and this is still wet. Let me dry it real fast. Count to 20, I think. So 15 seconds was all that was necessary to dry this. So let's see here. I'm happy that the vid quality is okay because I was super nervous about it after last time. So here, here's what I'm seeing. Bottom, a bit more shadowy, so we can darken that section. This section here is a little darker, and we'll combine it with fixing this shape, which I didn't get perfectly. And we'll darken some spots here and there in the ear. So let's jump to it. This is kind of a rendering stage, so it's a bit hard sometimes to explain exactly how I'm doing what I'm doing, but you'll see, okay? So I'm gonna just paint here and try observing what I do both on paper and on the palette. Okay, so I'm gonna blend that a bit here, like that, just to get this a bit more of an ambiguous transition. This here should be darker, right? And you can see it in the reference photo that will kind of adjust the shape of the face, right, to show the curves of it, show the cheekbone here, I suppose. I'm not yet an expert in sheep anatomy, but I can kind of guess how there's something like that. And the most important part, smoothing out the edges here, okay? I may need to do another round of smoothing, that's fine. Here as well, but that gives you a bit of that shape. Now, I do see this is a little too dark, too low, so let's get rid of that, kind of like this. That's it. And I can go even a little bit darker here. I'm just grabbing random things I have on the palette. Sometimes I do it that way. Now, we have a bit of a shadow here, so let's just put that in. If we want to blend it, we can always just go like spritz, and it will help it move a bit. We have a bit of a shadow, which brush I wanted this one, inside the ear. So let's get it here, like that. That highlight is a little too big, but you see you can compare the two and see, right? And where this is. And you can just use kind of a dry brush effect to do this. There are plenty of ways of achieving these effects. What I recognize is definitely that it needs a little more warmth, a little more red here. So we'll do this, like that. And so here's what we can do here. We can pre-wet and get this wet and wet, but I'm scared to do it, so I'm just gonna put them in. Maybe that's a little too red for this much of a edge kind of a thing. So what we can do is put some of these details in and then come back and just blend one of their edges, which is the furry kind of part, right? Let's see if I can get it to look right. It's a bit complex, and I would sometimes not do it, or do it wet and wet, or not do it at all if I miss the chance. But let's try. Just a few of the details here. I'm definitely not a master at it, and kind of want to play around with it a bit and see what will be created here. I won't normally do it this way, right? This is way too risky, but why not try and get the shapes like where you see them. I'm going to use my fingers to smear this around a bit, use this to kind of blend some of these. You see, so you kind of get it even if from afar, right? Now let me try another important part here. I'm going to blend this edge, right, like this. You see it's a bit more blended there. And then observe. So the bottom section needs a bit more work. So what I'm going to do here is a combination. It's going to be mostly neutral paint, but maybe a little towards the warmth. See, I'm a bit of overwork, but that's fine. I'm actually okay with that. A bit of blue and go crazy. Very easy to get a lot when it's so fresh out the tube. And I'll try kind of, let's see what this looks like. Yeah, that's good, but I need it darker. So something like that. Good. And let's see what we can do here. So I'm going to just try and darken this a bit while bringing out the shape of the face. You see there's this very gentle curve right here. Oh, I was scared I was muted for a moment. I was like, am I muted this whole time? But no. And let me actually flip this one upside down and do this. Blend a bit of the edge here. Now, I don't know why the paint is really reactive. The under layer is really reactive for some reason, which it surprised me. I don't usually experience it that. So what I mean is I put a touch of paint and then it reactivates what's underneath, which usually doesn't happen to this extent. So I don't know what that is. But in any case, we're pretty close, especially from afar. What we can do now is continue adding and improving, or we can stop at some point. So we'll probably do just a bit more and then stop. I don't want to overdo it. This here, the blue creeps into the ear. This goes a little higher, and there's a bit of a shadow inside the eye. This here should be a little bluer and slightly darker. We have a guest. That's not a surprise, by the way, that I promised. You may leave. Okay. So, I think we're done. Let me see here. Yeah, okay. One more thing that I do want to change a bit, and I kind of now see it. So if you look at this, there's a lot of a variety. Again, the shallow depth really causes a lot of this to be blurry, right? So I will blend some of that. We're going to need a very clean brush for this purpose, so I have some paper towels, and we'll start here. So here it's pretty blended. And I'll try not to ruin anything while I'm doing this, right? Because it is possible. And here also, all of this is kind of outside the focus, right? So just to get a bit of a, you see, smoother edge there will come a long way. Here especially, this spot here. Look at that. That's really nice looking. Maybe a bit here too. So it kind of gives it a bit of that. Now, let me do this. Let me switch over to the face camera. And if I hold it from afar enough, you see there's a similarity? So we kind of got it right. Even the colors are pretty much in the ballpark, right? And what I like about this as an example is that a lot of people are scared and kind of maybe even, and I'll do some more blending here down below while I talk, kind of being really tied up to the small details when what you should be focusing on is the overall picture and the overall shapes. So all of these small inaccuracies right now that I'm kind of trying to improve or fix or whatever, they're not that important. That's the bottom line. If you can kind of get the right colors and the right shapes kind of to work, that's all you really need, and you can always make these small corrections. Like right now I notice one more thing. If you look at this area right under the eye, it has no visible lash, like the light hair isn't visible there, so I kind of just got rid of it, right? If you want to add a bit of texture, I'm going to take the white gel pen, so it's not warm, which could be a problem, but I'm fine with that. And you can just kind of add a few hairs in here to get it kind of sneak into the fur, right? You have to think about a direction. So the direction is basically like that. So by just getting a few of these out there, you can give it a bit more texture, right? Even here, from the highlight and to the background, you can do that. It may improve the impression a bit. Here I see a bit of a highlight. But for the most part, get the overall shapes in the right places and take a look from afar and really ask yourself, did I get the gist of the scene? And I really like this one. And it's funny because I think just something that connected right near the end. So I hope you like this one. We have to hurry to the next one, so I won't try and fix more things here. But hopefully you like it. This could be blended. Like all throughout, this is blended, right? So if you really want to get that feeling, you will blend it all the way. And if you have time at home, do this as much as you feel is necessary, right? Just go like this, like that. But I'm actually really fine with where it's at right now. So we can skip to the next one, which is going to be this one. Let me leave this on the screen for a bit and just look at some of the comments, go through them real fast, and then we'll continue. So yeah, and hopefully you like this one. Ooh, a bunch of messages. Thank you so much for anyone who's here. 100 viewers, much appreciated. I do see 60 likes, which is a problem because there's 100 people here. So if you can take a moment and like this video, it helps it reach more people. If today's better than last week's slideshow, please like this video. And I would appreciate if you check out the frustration-free watercolor course. Let's see here. Masking, yeah, we talked about masking fluid. Ray says, I love how the light leaves, or oh, sorry, Jacqueline says, I love how the light leaves around the drawing. So you mean like the around it, the blended part? Let me know, but I'm very happy that you like it. Ray says, coming along nicely so quickly too, Liron. Thank you. I like the subtle blending of colors on the sheep's face. Yeah, it's really a fun process, I have to admit. Is it straight on? Yeah, good. I Pablo says hi from Argentina. Hello Shiny says, no way, I love sheep. I just woke up middle of the night to feed my 1 week old lamb. He fell asleep in my arms in bed like a car. Cool. So you get a lot of sheep here. There's gonna be 2 more. So wait, cat? Oh, like a cat. Okay, got it. Sorry. Dragonfly art. I'm a detail-oriented person, and I mostly make art which incline toward realism. However, I love the look of loose watercolor painting. Yes. So my question is, how do you decide which aspects of a painting you want to simplify, and which of them you want to focus on? So I think a lot of it is personal choice. There isn't one correct way. For me, I love the values, so that's something I'll try to stick kind of close to. But I'm okay with skewing the shapes a bit. I'm okay with modifying a bit of the details here and there. So it really is a question of what you like to portray. If you like to portray a specific thing, you'll find that you tend to be a little more accurate in that, and you tend to be a little freer in other aspects. That's at least how I experience it. So I hope that kind of gives you an answer. But the gist is, and I'm gonna make a video about it actually next week, there isn't one correct way. Okay, not like this. I simplified it. I didn't do it wet and wet. I could have. I probably should have. I did it, and I paid a price. You see, I get these wonky, weird lines, right? I can do wet and wet now. Do I feel like it? Not really. I can pre-wet and put in these. Let me know if you want me to try maybe later. But to me, my instinct tells me leave it now. It looks pretty cool. It's close to it, and it is a good demo, I think. So yeah. But I'll always be able to find stuff to improve here for sure. Here, this should continue a bit like that. And again, you don't have to finish a painting in one sitting. I like to do that, but if you feel like there's going to be some improvements warranted, just take a break, continue the next day. I sometimes do that too for larger pieces, more detailed pieces. Do whatever works for you. It's fine to take a break and continue the next day. In fact, it's modus operandi for many people, and that's great. The one above all, gaming. Why good artists always have dirty palettes? If you're asking the right question, you're onto something. So Rich Davi says, hi, nice, thank you. Hello, Shiny. Yeah, I'm always surprised how he comes out with clean looking colors when the palette looks dirty. Yeah, you just overpower the dirt there. And don't forget, again, the colors are muted. It's very, very rare to see this kind of a thing in the wild. I mean a palette knife. Yes, they don't just walk around. Okay, yeah, so real. Thank you so much, Tom Ford. Okay, let's jump a bit. Everyone likes Ruth. Thank you so much. And tell us why the colors come out so clean when the palette is messy. Yeah, it has nothing to do with it. You can overpower any color in this palette by just putting more color on it, and you will get a clean color. And again, the reality is most colors are very, very. So here's a good example. So I have a Pokemon card here. Just laying around. Look at the colors here. This is more of an illustrative style, right? Compare the saturation of this green to the painting. You won't find this green anywhere in this painting. No place you will find it. Why? Because it's rare to see this kind of greens, especially this one, in nature. You won't see them. This, yes, you will see. It's actually quite close. But all of these, like the red, let's say the color on the card itself, you won't see these colors in nature. So you don't need them. So a dirty palette does no harm. Okay, that's the best way I can put it. Now let me try something, because I did recognize a highlight. There is a highlight here that's very nice, and I want to try and get it because it's the eye, and it's like the one of the major aspects of pretty much any living subject you're painting. So I'm gonna mix a bit of this Jaune Brilliant, which is a PWC paint, Shinham PWC Jaune Brilliant. Beautiful, beautiful, warm-ish kind of white paint that I like to use opaquely, and I'm just gonna put this highlight in, right? And it's even a bit orange, so let me try and add a bit of orange to it. Now I'm really just improvising and winging it just for fun, but see a bit of this kind of pinkish orange. Barely made a difference, but you can see a bit of it here, so I don't know, I thought I'd add it. And in fact, to make it a little more noticeable, let's darken the area around it as it should be. Okay, just a bit, very gentle here. So we'll grab a bunch of, ooh, that's way too much French. This paint is such a danger when it's straight out of the tube. But yeah, so let's kind of mix it all up and then just darken a bit of it to the right, like this, so that it pops out a little more. Maybe we can even add more green to the, I like it like that. So I'm gonna leave it like this. Let's continue with some of the questions and then we'll jump into the next process. Lady T, hey Liron, you're an incredible artist. Thank you so much. Love this painting. Happy I was able to catch live. I bought 2 Tracy Lebenzon brushes. Really like them a lot. Yeah, cool. So happy to hear. His brushes are excellent. So thank you so much because I make a commission on those too. So much appreciated. Hopefully you use the coupon code Liron. One more thing I want to say. I did say I'll have a surprise for you. So if I feel like everyone kind of needs to leave at some point, you need to get started, work, something like that, let me know and I'll do it in advance. There is a surprise, I will share it today. Max says, why don't you smooth out the lips? They seem very hard. Yeah, because you're right, and I should. Let's do this. I kind of wanted to get them a little while it was still wet, but not too much, and then it was a little late, so here we go, just to blend them out a bit. And yes, you are at risk of lifting, which I did here. I added a bit of a lip there. Let me fix that. Yeah, it's a little dangerous. It's danger zone what we're doing right now. Okay, so just be mindful of that. And I think that's maybe a little more blurry. Yeah, I should have gotten it in the right timing. Wet and wet, it's hard. Sushma Gar says, hi Liron, great tutorial again, very helpful, thank you. Let's see here, I'm going to jump over some messages to see if anyone asks a question. Blend edges without lifting the first layer, yep, that's a big problem, Calvin. Let's see here. It looks nothing like you, Liron. I thought, I tried, I really did. Did it end up like a sheep instead of me? Sorry, I had to say that as you held it up. Oh yeah, it's a good meme. Let me. Okay, I'm gonna do. Someone should take a screen capture of this and post a meme of me. What was that? Oh, it's just my desk. And then go. Looks nothing like me. I'll do it, because I don't know if anyone will. I'll smile. Good. Took a screenshot. And okay, now let's move on to the next process. Blended them out, yes. Late again, Marjorie, thank you so much for being here, much appreciated. It's fine. The face part is spot on. Thank you so much, Barbara. Got the gist of it. Thank you so much. Yeah, it is personal choice. Dragonfly, definitely. What's the difference between gouache and normal watercolor? Someone could probably answer that. Not really sure. The lips, they curve down a little bit at the corner. Yeah, for sure. Look, I could have gotten them more accurately, but that's fine. That's exactly a part of, I won't get too caught up on the details while painting. Now I can, and you should, again. But now, because I already finished, I don't want to really mess it up completely by overworking. So let's do this. Let's do the good old flipperoo and move on to the next one. Now this one I'm going to do monochromatically. Why? Because I decided I will. So we're going to work black and white. And let me see, maybe, yeah, that's good. As long as we have everything in the frame, that's good. And we'll get started. So for these processes, this one I'm going to go really fast over. So for these kinds of processes, I like to use both the leftover paints here, and also I'll just use straight out black, neutral black. And because it's one value, I actually have a much better control of the flow, just because it's faster. So I'm just gonna go for it, and we'll see what happens. Kind of treating it almost like a portrait, like I would a portrait, right? When I'm kind of doing everything a la prima in one go, wet and wet, combining as many areas as I can. So let's see what will happen here. The one thing I'm aware of is to paint around the sheep, right? Because you want to make sure that you leave that beautiful white highlight there. I'm gonna cover these areas up. Gonna do this here. Sorry if you can't see the reference too well. Hopefully you can. But I do need to have in mind my ergonomics and make sure that it's comfortable to paint, right? And this goes here, this goes there. And we'll continue with this end before we get a dry edge. So, this is actually good. It's a little bit too strong, but that's fine. I really have a tendency to go too dark lately. It's funny, it's like I'm jumping in between mistakes. I'll sometimes have this happen to me too much, sometimes that. Let's leave a bit of a floof here. In fact, we can do something fun here. Let's get all the way down to the blades of grass. And what we can do is, so I'm actually considering merging, let's see here. Yeah, okay, that's good. Let's go a little darker in some spots, right? So around the bottom here, just to get a bit of an interesting contrast here and there. Just to get a feeling that maybe it's a mountain ridge or something like that. And I'm considering merging these two washes together. Should I? Let's do it. See, I combined the sheep and the background. Now, this has a few advantages. Better flow. It'll feel a little more wholesome, but the disadvantage is I have to hurry now. So let's do that. Let's hurry. So I'm going to finish up with the background here quickly before I get too much of an uneven wash. And we'll continue with the sheep wash. So I need a bit more paint here. And I'll go a little lighter here. Good. And I'll still stop things near where the grass is because it's much lighter there. See, we have this beautiful, beautiful shape here of the light and shadow on the body. And this connects to here. Oops, touched it. To here, and yes, it was a huge risk merging them, but maybe it will have paid off. I don't know. Maybe it was just a worthless risk. But we'll see. So now I'm gonna get the wet and wet timing right. Okay, so let's do it. Let's get a bit of darker paint right through here, behind the leg. See, and around the bottom, like this. Hopefully it will make sense. And then here we also have a bit of a darker kind of wash. We'll see about it. My wet and wet, I'm so rusty at it. I don't know why. And I'm gonna lose the wetness of the wash here. So let us proceed. And I'm gonna actually skip no, maybe I should merge the head now. Let's merge it all. Let's merge it all. And if you're like, oh, it's a big mess, what have you done? You're correct. It is a big mess, but I will fix it. You will see. It will all tighten up nicely. What I like about these scenes is, again, because it is just one color, and you can do this with a color. You can do this with a blue or a yellow or one other color, not just black. But because it is one color, it allows me for so much more reaction time, so much less mixing. So I can kind of do these processes in a bit of a weird process like you see here, kind of faster and maybe more rough, rugged. Let's do this. A bit of a risk, but that's fine. Let's leave this part alone for now. Gotta blend the face. So yeah, went just right for the end result here a la prima. Could have gone a lot slower, but that's fine. Again, I really enjoy these kinds of processes that I'm kind of forced to think fast on my feet. And we can get any nuance or correction later on. It's actually pretty easy, you'll see. But I do want to finish this lower part. And lighten the right side of the face. It's a little too dark, right? And we'll probably start putting in some of the darks, like for the ear. It should be a little darker. And for the eye here, like that. And for the nose, well, it's kind of mildly wet, and I can do this. Merging the body with the background here was a huge risk, and to be honest with you, I think the benefit does not outweigh it in this example. But yeah, that's made a decision, gotta stick to it. In this example, a bit of a darker spot here near the ear. Now you may be wondering, what shall we do with the grass? I'm actually gonna paint it, but just super duper light. And by the way, I never experimented with like everything black and white and then just one spot being in color, so that could be a fun thing to try in the future. But in any case, I'm gonna get something over on the grass, right? I'm gonna tint it a bit with a very wet wash, like this. And while it's still wet, I'm gonna start making some corrections to the bottom of the sheep. Right now I'm in visual mode pretty much, so I don't think about anything but is it too dark, is it too light, is it too dark, is it too light, and then I'm trying to patch up every mistake I see. Now I'm a bit crazy right now. I'm doing it a little too crazy. I think it would be a good idea to let it dry and maybe then do more wet and stuff like that. We'll see. For the grass, let's do a touch here. Yeah, okay, good. A bit of movement, but not too much. So that's here. Let's get these sections a little darker. Oh, I really ran into this process like head on without thinking too much. But yeah. Like this. And then we can actually do a couple of blades of grass just to add a bit of texture to it while it's still wet. A bit of texture that won't be too will dry much lighter, of course, kind of like this. So let's let it dry for now and see what we end up with, and slowly start making corrections, okay? Because I really just jumped into this one without thinking too much. That sometimes happens. Mood, hashtag mood. So let's do that. I'm gonna dry it. I'm gonna dry myself because I'm sweating from the direct sunlight on my back. Let's do this. Give me like 20 seconds to dry this. Got him. Okay, good. So I actually decided that this one's a lost cause. No, I'm just kidding. We'll improve it now, don't worry. So what we need to do is start adding a bit of structure, okay? So here's the thing. We got kind of the light and dark, but there is so much that is wrong about this one at this very second. For starters, there's a lot of depth that is caused by some patterns of light and shadow. So this floof here, for example, is darker. This floof is darker, and this is actually very important to indicate. This floof here is darker. This floof here even is darker, so we need to give it more mass. So here's what we're probably gonna do. And by the way, I just noticed the pattern of the leg now. It's actually doing this and going back and folding around itself. I didn't notice it when I drew it. So I'll try and incorporate some of that. It's like Ruth does it too with her leg. It's a funny position, but it works for them. So that's one. Give it more depth and three-dimensionality. Two, we need to play around with the edges because the fur, the texture of the fur makes it so that this is a blurry edge, and you can see it here. It's not as much as we see every little blade of hair, but we actually get a pattern that is blurred, and you can really see it here. So we need to get that in by blending those edges. And then we need to even out the light on this side of the face that looks incredibly awkward. Straighten this line here. What else? There's a lot more that I just kind of need to see and do. So I think this is what we'll do, and it is just something I have to jump into. So why don't you wish me good luck, and we'll try and do that. We'll try to finalize it in this wash. So I'm gonna switch brushes again. And I think I will pre-wet this time. So let's do this, okay? You barely see me use this technique, so now's a good opportunity. I'm pre-wetting, which I don't often do. I'll pre-wet the entire thing, because I really messed up some things here royally. And, oops, that's not good. And I'll need to pre-wet some more here. And that's it. That's the limit I think it can take before it starts to make the first wash go crazy. So, let's start here with this, and we'll see what we get. A bit less paint and water, and we'll start to darken it. Like that. And all of this section almost will be darker. Like this. And already it starts to kind of stabilize it in a way. Okay? It's nowhere near, but it's getting one step in the right direction. And then we'll do the same for this section. I'm really rusty, haven't painted for a few days, I have to admit. And not properly, at least. I did do the two cards, it turned out really nice, but you know. I'm sorry that I'm not as interactive right now. I want to get this process done properly. Let's actually merge this with the shadow casting here. And kind of move this to the side and use a lot of water. I sometimes forget how dark this paint can get, right? So this goes here, there's a bit of a shadow there. And hopefully that starts to maybe fix some things. Now it does go a little darker here near the bottom, but just a little. So I'm going to use some more water to move this paint around. And I can actually use this opportunity to do something cool here, to continue with this wash, and then go right ahead and blend it. And we'll see how that goes. Like this, right? So we got a bit of that. And it starts to look more like something. Now, I have to merge and fix the face. This is a straight line. And it connects to the shadow here. It goes like this, all the way down. And blend it out a bit. This is a pure instinct right now. And if my instincts are wrong, it's gonna look funky. So a little bit of another wash on top. And I'll try to keep this one more tamed, right? Like this. Just a bit of it. Something's very off with the face. And I may find out what it is, and I may not. I already tell you. I can tell that's one of those paintings that are gonna elude me for a long time, and I may do another version of it. But yeah, that's a little better. Let's merge this a bit. Thing is, the thing that bugs me here is that this is way too light. It's funny, it's almost like writing a script in which you have to write a first version so that you can rewrite it, because the real work is in rewriting. And I definitely experienced this with the story I'm writing. It's almost like when you write the thing, the work just begins. The real work starts when you're on your rewriting journey. So yeah, a bit of that here. So yeah, the mouth looks funny too. Went a little too fast here with the face, and I'm paying the price for it. And this looks like the eye, so it looks a little uncanny. So let's try and put the eye in the right spot. Maybe it'll help, because the eye is actually here. Does it help? Maybe a bit. We have a bit of details inside the ear, like that. I don't ask myself what it is, I just put it there. That's how you get the impression done without going into too much trouble. You do see some pulls of fur here, and I'm actually going to switch to a teeny tiny brush, one of my favorites for these small details, and I'll just get a few of these in while it's still a little damp, just a little, like that. This is still a little wet, that's good. It's funny how sometimes the paintings you think are simpler end up being much harder than you thought. I was like, oh, this one's going to be the simpler one of the three. Not really. Now, let us blend these. Remember, these are very important. And I'm being spoiled by this blending brush, I have to admit. Oh, this paint is a little, I guess, more staining, so it's going to be a bit harder to blend. Which is good. It's a good punishment for me to pay for being sloppy here. You see this weird bump? I can't get rid of it, so what we're going to do instead is change the background. I'll just do this. Wait a second. I'll fix it by fixing the shape like this, see? And we can get rid of some of this highlight, like that. That's better. It looked weird. Why would the fur do that kind of a weird thing? So yeah, now some of the fuzziness also comes into play in these areas. Well, let me try, okay, let's try it out. Let's see, drier brush this time. Because this paint is a little stronger, maybe a drier brush, yeah, that works much better. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm doing some kind of lost and found edges with the fur around it. So lost, and then found, and then lost, and then found. It gives it this feeling of fluffiness, right? Yeah, so that's a little better. Yeah, I'm still missing a lot of definition of depth here. Okay, one more wash. Let me dry this, one fast wash, and we're done. Okay, you see this nuance of light and shadow. I didn't get any of it in, and I won't do it wet and wet this time. So 1 second, I'll dry this. So I wanted to check how we're doing for time, and it's good. We're 1 hour in, which leaves us plenty of time for the third one, which is going to be a little larger and a little more complex. I have to do this wet on dry. I can't do this step wet on wet, okay? Gotta trust myself, hope for the best, pray to the gods, the old and new, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. Because I have to sculpt out this shape. I can't just do it wet and wet, unfortunately. Okay? No, it looks super dark. Don't worry, Liron has not yet destroyed the painting. We're getting there, but not yet. Good. And this will go here like that. And this will lift. And this should be blended, of course. And yeah, now here, very important, behind the leg, from bottom to top. The big idea is more important than the small details. So I don't care if the details are sloppy, I want the big idea to work well. And then I'm gonna lift, because here you need this section right here to be lighter. See? This is good. Now I know it may look a little aggressive, but don't worry, it will solve itself out. I think I also lacked some clarity in the drawing stage, which has led me down this challenging path here. My planning should have been better. The drawing itself was lacking. So I didn't place the elements in the right spots. So that's always a problem. And it's a problem that doesn't happen to me very often. Because I usually make sure to do that. But here, sometimes you blow it. But yeah, I think this is almost as close as I'll get this one to looking like the reference. So I will shortly stop. Now, what we basically did was trading some overwork. We produced overwork to get the accuracy of the values one step, I suppose, closer to what they should be. Which was, in my opinion, a worthy trade-off, right? And after that, we're going to take a break, and I'll, of course, look at your comments. Sorry, abandon them for a while. And you can always bring back some of it with some, I don't know, let's use a gel pen, because I really missed that back part here. That I was like, oh, I'm gonna blend the sheep with the background, and then this is what happens. You try to take too big of a bite. Yeah, I'm gonna stop now. Maybe we'll revisit it later with fresher eyes, and maybe we won't, but I just feel like I need to stop this one for now. Just get this shadow in. Just one last thing, just one. Straighten out the cast shadow. Okay, we're good. I'm good with that. We'll stop here. Let me look at your comments. This separation here, because it wasn't even. I should have stopped and then done the sheep. I did not have a clear enough of a plan, right? And the end result is decent. Don't get me wrong, but like if you look at it like this again from afar, oh, it's cute. It's a sheep. Not good enough. Not good enough. And it's because, again, a big part of it was me kind of deciding spontaneously, let's connect the background and the sheep itself, and then I had to do this wash really fast, and it was too sloppy, it wasn't good enough, wasn't close enough. So yeah, one more thing that did bug me, and I said I'll do, which was even the nose. Like, I just didn't finish it. This one's not, it's unfinished, I'm sorry, I have to continue. Like, you see the nose here, it's not its shape, this is the shape. And then we have this kind of a rounded transition, and the sheep actually smiles here. It has a nice little smile, so here we go, a smile. And this goes here, and what else? I just saw something that I said I have to fix. What was it? Heck, I don't remember. It's fine. We'll let it go for now. But let me look at your comments real fast. Sorry that I couldn't, because it was a pretty grueling process, I'll admit. Let me move this a bit so my hand doesn't block the light. Wow, a lot of stuff. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you for explaining the difference between wash and watercolor. Noreen says, hi Liron from Australia. It's a balmy 5 Celsius. Feels like 1. Oh my god, it's crazy. Alexander, how do you know the painting is finished? You saw me struggling through it now, but now it is finished. Now I'm done. Hello Shiny, it's looking so fresh. Watercolor is so nice. Best paint ever. Yes, it is. When the marks that you're making begin to add no fundamental or stylistic action, just unnecessary shadows, details, layers. Yeah, that's a great take on how to know when to stop. That's really good, Tom. Thank you for sharing. Laura says, heading to work. Have a great day, night, everyone. We'll catch the rest later. Yeah, be sure to, even if you missed the latter, like the last 10 minutes or so, I'm going to share something cool with you. So be sure to watch it after the fact. Yep, and you can take a 5-minute break, come back, and you'll definitely see it cleaner. And to get this more accurate, you just have to work slower. I went fast. I went really fast. What a beautiful dog. I can tell you love him a lot. Yeah, I love Ruth. She's so good. Ray, Liron, how important is it to leave that white part along the bottom of the sheep's jaw? I always wonder about details like that in many areas of my drawing. Like this teeny tiny bit of white, it's not that important. By the way, that's a part of what bugs me. Now I saw. Thank you so much. You helped me find it. This should be connected here. Good. I wouldn't bother. The previous example is better. You saw I messed up so many of the smaller details and highlights, but it still works. So yeah. It's just that to get things to be accurate enough. Oh yeah, I remember another thing that bothered me. Sorry, I keep doing this. The ears are they're way too felt. Look at the difference here. I'm gonna blend this. I'm gonna take my risks. Just get rid of some of that. Yeah, that's good. It's way too prominent. Here it's a little better, actually. That's better. Sometimes these small things really make a big difference. Get the floof here. Let's see. But yeah, definitely a 5-minute break would definitely benefit me right now. Just to kind of open up some depth. Like this, the face is off. I don't like the face. I think there's actually a shadow in the middle of the nose that I completely missed. Let's see. So if I just do this, Oh, that's way too dark, sorry. So if I just do this here, and then I kind of move it around a bit, but it has to reach all the way down to the bottom, right? I don't know, we'll let it go. Marjorie, I would love to see more animals. Any chance? Not till recently did I want to paint them. I watched narrow boats in Britain, and many scenes I want to paint, including either farm animals or waterfowl. Yeah, that's. I'll do more. Raises. Oh, never mind. You covered it. I thought that you have been. There's been a way to bring out the shade under the jaw. Yeah. The right eye is near ear. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it wasn't meant to be the eye here. It just I messed up the previous part of the wash. The eyes of the animal are very close to the ears. Yeah. Patrick says, wow, that's great. Thank you so much. Dragonfly art. I'm writing my PhD thesis, and I know exactly what you mean about rewriting. Yes, exactly. Kathy B. Liron, do you have shown me the true value of making shadows more dramatic. The eyes are closer to the ears. Check the left eye. Yeah, so if you're referring to this one, I definitely just messed up the previous wash. This wasn't supposed. I know if people thought this was supposed to be the eye, it never was meant to. I just messed it up. I put a dark spot there, and I didn't mean for it to be the eye. Anyone know the paints he's using? Yeah, so I'm using a neutral black by Kohinoor. It's actually a really, really nice paint. Seto Wudo says, you sir are extremely talented, love your work. Sub, thank you so much for being here. And it's not talent, it's skill, it's practice, so you can do it too. Shyam says hi from India. Okay, mix of Daniel Smith and Shmikas. Yeah, so this is Kohinoor in particular. The previous one was a mix. The previous one was a mix of a lot of different things. So yeah. But thank you so much. Tom, I've been making my own watercolors for about a month and a change. It's amazing. Wow, cool. That I've never tried that, but I did see a couple of videos showing how to do that and so on. That's really neat. Enjoy the ultramarine plus burnt sienna mix. Yeah, that's nice. It's a beautiful combination. Sheep follow the shepherd around. That sheep looks content to just sit there, though. Yeah, definitely. It likes resting. I love it actually. It has character. Thank you, Dragonfly. I would love the eye a little different, but I actually love the messiness. Yeah, I could just take it slower, but I haven't. Yeah. So, yeah. Let's try and just fix the placement of the eyes a bit. They're still not that good. And then we'll move on to the next one, I think. So the eye is kind of around here. And then here, it goes down to here, I think. If I had to guess. But yeah, we'll let it go for now. Is there a highlight on the nose? No. There is a bit of a highlight, actually, here. On the nose itself. Let's do this. This is a low-hanging fruit. There we go. Yeah. Actually, let's get rid of this. I think this is what messes me up. Let's bring back some white here. Now it's a mixed media, but yeah, that's fine. But in any case, yeah, we'll let this one go. And I think we'll move on to the last one. So I see a lot of talking languages I don't understand, so I hope you're enjoying. Barb says, seeing you struggle and correct is a great learning experience. Thank you. Yeah, definitely. And it's like 1 out of 2 paintings I do is like that. The process is just going to be like that. So just to recap what we've had so far, we have this one, very nice. And in case you missed, we also had this one, even nicer, I think. And now we'll do a scene, okay? Now, here is the main idea why I want to show you this too. So far we've been really focusing on the details, right? You can see everything. In a scene, it becomes even more about the shapes and less about the actual details. Because if you'll try getting the details in for everything, you won't see the end of it. I'm actually going to paint this in color, but I have a black and white version just in case. Now, if you start dealing with the small details of the ears, of the everything, you won't be able to finish the painting ever. So, what we do in this kind of a case is focusing on the shapes. And this is exactly how I sketched it too. There is a great focus on the shapes. So what you see here is shapes of light and shadow. Here is the sheep that's closest to us. It's just a bunch of shapes. This is a highlight, right? Like that. And the body of the sheep takes time. It's not also not that easy to draw. I also traced some of them because I was in a hurry. But you see here, this is what it's all about. If you can get the shapes accurately, and let me open up the window. I think the light is good now. So we'll get stronger natural light source. If you can get the overall shapes correctly, you'll do well. Okay? Easier said than done. And for this one, I think I'll bring the picture onto the screen. Okay? Now let me ask you a question in the chat. If you're in a hurry to leave for some reason, and Liron does high quality material matter? Yeah, they do sometimes. I'll dive deeper on it maybe later on. If you need to leave in a hurry, let me know. It's kind of a poll. So say, write L for leaving soon. Okay, let me know, because if you do, I will show you a surprise. Now, you can lie and say it and then stay, but I would appreciate your candor. No, you can do whatever you want. But let me know if you're planning on leaving like in the next 10 minutes. I'll do this now and then continue with the painting. So I'm looking at the chat. I know there's a bit of a delay, so L in the chat. If that's the case, if you need to leave soon, just let me know. In the meantime, I'll look at your comments. Adith says, inspired by Steven Silver. I know Steven Silver. Hi there, Liron says, AD Gax. Thank you so much for being here. Adith, oh, it's Malaysian. Okay, cool. Thank you for letting me know. Monica NJ, oh, love that one. I got here late, so we'll watch the replay. Thank you so much, Monica, for being here. Let me open this up in a separate window, because I want to see the most updated version of the chat. Pause this. Okay. Tom Ford says, I'm staying good. Thank you so much, L. Katie says, leaving soon. Roll says, I'm staying. We'll let them flow a bit, and we'll see. We'll see what you're saying, because I just don't want to. Okay. I think I know. I got my answer. Let's do this. Okay, I'm excited for it too. So here's the thing. I'm gonna do a proper video, but let me switch over to here. I got something. I don't know how excited you'll be about it, but it's something big. So I got this package finally from YouTube. I took out most of the stuff that were in it, but one thing is there, and it is my play button for the 100K. So let me take it out, and thank you all, because it's thanks to you that I got it. So here we go. That's me. That's my name. I can show you with this camera here, and you can see yourself in the mirror. But yeah, finally got it. I don't know why. It's supposed to send it automatically. I'll hang it on the wall behind me. It's supposed to send it automatically once you hit 100K. They're supposed to contact you, and no one did. And I filled in a request, and no one did anything about it. So I did a chat support, and then they helped me. And they were like, oh yeah, you should have gotten it a long time ago. So here we go. They didn't say I should have gotten it a long time ago, but they couldn't tell me why the process wasn't automatic. Now I'm gonna do a video about it, a separate one, so there's no need to go into too much depth to it now. But I will do a video on it and talk a bit about it, because 100,000 is like a goal I set how many years ago? 5. So yeah, I really want to thank you for it, because it's thanks to you. So yeah, oh wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Daiji, how are you? Thank you for being here. Thank you, Alexander. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Judy. Much appreciated. Thank you, Daiji. Thank you, John. It's time. Thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you so much. Yeah, I finally got it. Finally. 110,000. So we're 1/10 of the way to 200,000. The next one is at million, I believe, or 500,000. I'm not sure, but we'll see about that. But I'm so, like, I don't usually celebrate these things, and it's nice to have something here to remind me, because we really, like, when you're so in the work, you tend to forget about these things and to celebrate the victories and to be grateful. You know, we human beings, we don't know how to be happy. We keep changing our standard for success, and it's just something that, seeing this button on the wall will be a great reminder. So thank you so much for that. It's just easy to take things for granted, I guess. So I'll try not to. I'll try to every day show my gratitude to you and to the world, and just for that, because it's amazing. So thank you so much. And with that, we can jump to the next process, the last one for today. 3 processes, 1 live stream. We're gonna have to go maybe a little faster on this one. Let me crop out some of the top of the picture so that I can fit it better, because it's really tight right now, and will allow us for more room. Let's see here, and I'm not gonna paint it. It's part I cropped from the painting myself, so like, who needs it? So I crop it somewhere around here. That's good. It'll give us some more room. Yeah, good. Oops, that's the wrong one. Sheep. Move this one. Maybe I'll stick it. Where should I put that? Right next to me here. Okay, good. I can zoom out a bit. Maybe that'll help. Sorry for the shakiness. Forgive me. But really, thank you so much, each and everyone, and thank you for the people who just discover me via live streams and maybe subscribe now. It's really thanks to you too that I'm able to do this, and that I will be able to look at my buttons. So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Christine. Thank you, Kelvin. Thank you, Edith. Thank you, Sayan. Thank you, Lydia. Thank you all. Much appreciated. I'm gonna do like a post later here on Instagram and so on. Thanks to you, it's because of you that you got the plaque. Oh yeah, it's named Plaque, I forgot. If you weren't so helpful, we wouldn't be watching. Thank you so much, Jill. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, let's get to the last process here, and then we can do some more chit chat. The light's a little, yeah, it's still direct, so let me do this. Get rid of some of that. And this is better. Now we get an even distribution of light, and we'll give it a go. So for this process, because it's a larger scene, you have to kind of do an initial wash. To me, at least, it'll be hard to handle everything right out the gate. So what I'm gonna do is a first wash that's a layer of, and look at the values here. It's a layer of the sky and then the ground, and skipping the highlights. Okay. So for the sky, I'm going to try and go a little blue, but also a little neutral. And for the ground, we'll see in just a second. And I'm keeping this strong of an angle because I want to make sure that the paint moves. I'm painting a little larger now too, so I need to make sure that I have enough paint, right? Let's see here. I'm going to just take a bit of everything I got here. You could do this step wet and wet too. For these scenes, I prefer not to usually. So here we go. It's a pretty light background. I'm actually going to add some water on top and help it move. And then as we get almost towards the ground, I'll start incorporating a bit of a darker green. But I'm going to switch blues. And we'll use the manganese because I want this to be a bit of a brighter green. And let's see what it looks like here. Okay, that looks good. And I love how the sky will blend a bit into it. In fact, let me change the angle so that it does blend, but a bit less. Only for this section. I'll later on bring back the strong angle because I'll need it. And it's okay to just hold it like this and control it manually yourself. And here's the direct light seeping in. Let me. It's really annoying. Like of all hours, it's this time always. Now more water. The ground needs to be darker than the sky, but I also am planning on getting an even wash, right? So I'm going to stop at the highlights on the sheep. See here? Like that. I'll use this as a what I call a stop point. And we'll start. Should we darken a bit? No, I think we're good. We'll mix a bit more. 2 blues this time, French ultramarine, and this one. I don't know why. More yellow. And just darken it a bit, I think, here. And help the wash move, right? Hopefully I won't be able to go over this one again, because I hate going over these large washes again. So we'll see if I can get it right. the first time, which I usually don't with greens and fields and stuff like that, but we'll do our best. So now I'm basically going to cover everything but the highlights. So let me yellow it up just a bit and try and get this as accurately as I can. Okay, you will inevitably cover some highlights, and that's fine, but do your best. And don't worry about this small unevenness. No one will notice, and there's so much more to add here, so it's gonna be fine. And here, around, leave this small highlight here, small highlight here, small highlight there, and keep adding water, paint to the mix. Make sure it keeps moving. I can actually go over the sheep here again and just leave a few hints of highlights, right? Like this. It's even better if I do, because then I make sure that I also paint the floor between where their legs are placed, right? Like this, and keep moving that wash as best as you can, right? Use water if you have to. And once you get out of the critical area of where it's really kind of a danger zone, right? That you have to paint around so many highlights and it's very hard to get it right. Once you get to the more open area, it should get a little easier. And let's leave the highlight here for the tail that I put in. I find that my brush work gets much sloppier when I talk, so my apologies. It's something I need to improve at. Definitely something I need to improve at. This is going to be a little patchy, so let's do this. Kind of a loose pre-wetting, because I really would like to not go over this wash and darken it further, and have to darken it further later on. I really would rather not have to do that. And as we get closer, you see there's a bit of flowers, there's a bit of stuff. I'm kind of averaging it out into greens and blues. Greens and yellows. Paint around this one. So this sheep is closest to us, so it's actually a little more important. I do need a bit more darkness here. You see how fast and furious I have to work on this wash? That's just the nature of these types of... Did I say watch? I meant wash. That's just the nature of these scenes. Let's get a bit of a French ultramarine in there, just for some spots, to get a bit of a variety and the color we mix. And we can go on top like that. Leave the highlight, right? Leave the highlight on the ear, connect here, get a bit of yellow maybe to kind of wrap up this corner, and hopefully we got somewhat of a decent first wash. Yeah, good. And don't worry about, some shapes here are separate, that's fine. What will unify them is actually later on the shadows. There's a lot to add here, so don't worry yourself too much if things don't look right. And this wash, by the way, has no red in it whatsoever. But we will start including red in the next wash. So this will be our kind of first stage. There we go. And yeah, I think that's good. Now we have to let it dry, and then we'll add the tree and the shadows and the details. The next wash is actually the most fun because it's simple. You'll see. Let's do this too here. It's simple. The next wash is just working on the animals either one by one or kind of together. It's kind of like I showed you in how to simplify a crowd of people. Same concept goes. You paint them together as one big shape, and I will show you that as soon as it dries. Let me look at some of your chat messages, see if I can address something. Thank you so much for the love. Darlene says, congrats, Liron, you're an amazing artist. Thank you for sharing your skill and talent. Ontario, Canada, thank you so much. Dragonfly Art, also congratulations, Liron, so happy for you. Thank you for sharing your joy and achievement. Thank you so much. Prima, congratulations. Thank you. Shezzy, hey, how are you doing? Swagato Roy says, hello. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Go YouTube. Go YouTube. And yeah, I'll have to think about while it dries. We'll just chit chat for a minute or two. I'll have to think about how I move forward with the channel and build it to be larger and also keep it as helpful. I really want it to be pure value as much as possible, which means I have to improve my skill, and also means I have to improve some of the production value, probably. And I guess to better understand the audience, because I always learn new things, like new things that people have trouble with and struggle with, new stuff like that. I always have to learn anew, and this is why reading messages and comments is so useful. It really is like something to thank for that. I get a lot of feedback, relatively. So let's dry this one real quick with a hair dryer, right? And we'll continue with the next and probably last wash, okay? Good, so I think it's dry enough. Sorry for muting you, it's just so that hair dryer won't be super loud. So we'll get started. I think from the tree, and yeah, that's gonna be fun. Well, let's get the tree in here. Now the tree is just black. It's fully black color, but here's the thing. It takes a big part of the painting, so I'm gonna do two things. It's a little farther, it's not really at the front, so here I actually have some leeway to play around with the values. So what happens here, the tree is such a dark element that it kind of grabs and gravitates all the focal points to it, which is great and can work very nicely. Now the question is, do I want to keep it this way, or do I want to create a sense of proximity and depth in a different way, meaning lighten up the tree a bit and slowly darken the sheep as they move closer to us? And I think that's what I'll do, generally speaking. So we will make something very neutral for the tree, gray kind of a thing. Maybe even on the warm or cool side, but it is still gonna be quite neutral. And I need a lot of it because this is a big wash. This is gonna cover a large area. And look at how much mixing I'll have to do here and how much water I'll need to bring here. And this is why these soft brushes are great, because they have great water capacity. And I can get a lot done and mixed here very easily. So let's see here what we got for now. So that's pretty green. Let's add a bit more red. And that's a nice value. I like how Joseph Zbukvich does the trees, meadows, stuff like that. Does them very, very atmospheric and very much reading the overall atmosphere of the scene and basing it off of that. Which is a huge skill. It's very hard to mix proper grays, but this is good. This is perfect. I added a bit of that manganese blue too. And I'm just gonna put it in as fast, loose as I can. I don't want to overwork this part, okay? So I'm gonna use all the means at my disposal with this awesome brush that has an awesome texture, and if you use it to the side like this, you can get so much of a variety in. And we'll get this tree in here. We'll darken it a bit near the center, like that, and because we went for a first wash that was so saturated and colorful, we can actually afford this wash to be a little more muted in the shadows, and I like that kind of dynamic of a first wash that's fairly colorful and then a shadow wash that's a little more muted and gray and unified. Really, it gives it kind of a unifying factor, really. And we'll get to the tree trunk here. So we're playing off of the values in a way that's different from the reference photo, right? We're putting that tree in a little lighter than it actually is, so that we can use that. And I'm going to switch to a smaller brush now, So we can use that to create a sense of depth. Okay, new brush means you need to mix new color. That's just how it goes sometimes. More blue, more yellow, get it neutralized, and here we go. This is a little too light. Let's get it here to the side. Sorry that I can't always verbalize what I'm doing. It's just so much, but I'm doing my best to explain as much as I can from the process. Now the only thing that matters here to me is to really connect this tree trunk to at least some of the sheep around it. And look at how I'm just putting this small shape and boom, it lights up, right? You get the sense of light and shadow immediately. And by the way, I forgot to add, but you can do like a couple of stray branches or stuff like that if you just want to add a bit more interest to it. And we're working our way around the highlights. The highlights, again, the epicenter of them is white sometimes, and sometimes it's a little yellow or warm or cool. In this example, I could have actually gone with a more colorful highlight rather than just leaving it paper white. But I'm actually happy I left it paper white. It helps in terms of simplicity, and it actually looks good, I think. So look at what I'm doing here. I'm merging a bunch of these sheep together. They're all one big shape. And the only thing that matters is that big shape and a few legs indicated here and there. And the viewer's mind will kind of complete the rest of the details if you're doing a decent enough of a job, right? It's not as easy always. We'll see how this one goes. But here we go. The closer ones will tell the story of the ones in the background. That's usually how it works. And maybe I'll use my reference here. It's a little easier for me to see. Yeah, that's better. This one here to the right. So you can take your time, but the one thing you want to pay attention to is, especially for the groups that are merged together, you don't want to take too much time, right? You want to get them to flow together too. And I love that there's a bit of a shadow on the ground, and I can get that with a bit of a dry brush. And I will go really fast through this process, so ears. So apologies, I'm not going to stop for many questions for this one in particular. Sorry about that. I want to kind of wrap the process up, and then we can do some Q&A, right? So now as we move to the side here, these feel a little warmer. So I'm switching off to a warmer color, and hopefully the highlights together with the shadowy part will work together to make this look like the actual subject here. Like this. The butt. And another leg showing through. Again, you can get some shadow in if you want to. I can add that later on too. It doesn't have to really merge together. But let's continue. Let's make our way through. Now the light here is a bit annoying right now because you see a bit of a weird reflection on it, so my apologies about that. It's just that time of day. What I want to do now is mix a bit of a larger pool here so that I can work with it for a longer period of time and cover more of the sheep. So I'll just do that, and I think that's a good one. And you can vary it as you move along. So here we go. But you see, I'm still not going that dark because it's quite in the background, and I already made the tree much lighter, right? So I want to preserve that kind of a value scheme, if you will. This is a sheep, a bunch of them. You could use another smaller brush just to get some of the legs in a little more. Gotta wet it. Just to get a few of the legs indicated maybe a little more accurately. Because it will be, oops, thought it would be easier, ended up being a mess, but yeah. I'll return to it in just a second. And the overlap of light and shadow will really do the job for us. So you don't need to do much. Here we go. See, that's better. A bunch of legs. They're all mixed together because we're looking at them from the side, from the front, but they're all kind of overlapping behind one another. So yeah, there we go. This one I don't even need to darken too much. It's kind of gonna do the job for me. We have one that's a little closer here. Let's get this one's legs a little clearer. They have this nice gesture going like this, like that. Ideally, you'll stop and do all of these slowly, but it's gonna take a long time. So let's get this one here a little closer. We'll leave that highlight on the tail. That's cute. And get those legs as accurately as you can. And you see this will read a little better. Now for the ones that are closer, sorry for the ambulance noise. For the ones that are closer, you can take it one more step and do some wet and wet to darken some spots. So you can go like this, right? If you see a dark spot, you just darken it. And that will give it further depth. It's actually a bit hard to see in the camera, but you see how it does make a difference. So that's something you may want to try. Now here, as we get closer, yes, we do see more individual details. So I'm going to take my time a bit more with every one of them. Like this. And they're separate as well. And then I can use my smaller brush again for the smaller, more nuanced details, maybe the head or ear or something like that. Let's go a little warmer. Still, we can go a little warmer with this one. That's a nice color. And notice how I didn't blend any edge. You could, and maybe you even should. It was just too much to think about. But for the closer ones, which one? Let's use the same one. It's just the right size. For the closer ones, you can start thinking about these edges of the shapes, right? And you can start maybe blending them in. And this wash will always be the most time consuming, the slowest one where you have to really think about it. That's just how it is. Go warmer. But you see how slowly but surely the image is built, okay? And in these types of situations, I love to get the entire area covered and then do the wet and wet for the darker details, as I've shown you. So like here, anywhere that's a little more shadowy, I'll do that now, while trying not to overwork it, you know. And then maybe we can get this kind of a shadow here. But you see the image starts to be built that way. Now for the ones at the back, we can go a little faster. And I forgot, but I did want to blend here as well. This one and these two also. Like that. This blending will provide a bit of variety. And in this one, we really have to make sure we get some of it in. So here we go. Very few left. And then we'll move on to the next one, to the closest one. Leaving that highlight for the tail. And we're really close to finishing this one. We really do. Get close to it now. A bit darker here. And smoothen out the edge. Green tail. This sheep has a green tail. That's fun. And now for the most important one. You can even work with a bit of a larger brush for this. This one's warmer, so let's get a bit of that. Let's try to vary the temperature here a bit. So we'll start a bit warm, like so. Good. And before I move forward, I'll blend the edge. If I don't do it now, it's going to be hard to do later on. Like this, and maybe in some areas around the neck. And then we'll slowly cool the mix a bit, very slowly. that, with this leg going here. And for this one, I will get the legs in accurately. Because here we can really see the shapes, so it's more important. Here as well, this is a little darker. Good. And we'll get that other side of that leg here. And for the shadow, you can either again do this kind of a dry brush, we'll give it a try, something like this. And then I would also like to darken some spots, of course, so maybe around here, around the face, under the ear, under the tail. And yeah, I think that tells the story. Oh, I forgot this one. Completely forgot this one. So here we go. This one's faster. It's funny how sometimes when you go through these faster, you end up getting a better result. Sometimes faster is really just better. You avoid overwork too sometimes. But I like this. So a nice scene. I think this is good. I wouldn't change too much. I could, but I actually like the way it looks. And obviously I could darken the green. And I don't know why it shows up much lighter than it actually is in my painting. But I won't. I refuse to darken it. This is going to stay like this with a very well lit ground. But yeah, let me show you these two together. And how should I do this? Maybe like this. I may later on maybe try and darken it a bit, but I actually like it a lot. I don't want it to be too dark. So yeah, we're done. We're pretty much done. I love the tree here. It really gives off a nice sense of depth. Really, really nice. Now you will notice that some of these here have a shadow cast by the tree, so you don't actually see a highlight on them. So that's something I can definitely try and get rid of. Just to see if it will improve some of the composition. So let's see here. Let's get rid of them. I actually like the way it looks in the original reference photo. So I'm gonna do this kind of a thing here. See how it kind of puts them in the shadow of the tree. Not a must, but it looks nice. Maybe even let's get rid of this one. So it's still there, but it's much weaker. And you can go now over these. I actually really like it in its impressionistic form, but you could, let's add a bit of this orange. You could go and start adding some shadows here or details that you missed earlier, right? You can do this. If you want to, get a bit of that shape maybe didn't indicate earlier, but overall I really like this one. Let me know your thoughts, and let's look at the chat. Clap, 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 thank you so much. My back. Could you show your blending brush up close? Yeah, sure. Dragonfly. Let's see here. So this is the Zen, Royal, and Langical. Hopefully you can see this, and if you can't, this camera works better up close. Let me do this. It's funny because I look at it now and I'm like, oh, should I darken it? And I won't, because I learned from experience. Where's the text? Oh, you can barely see it. I'm gonna write it down. Blend my brush. Wait a second. Typing. Blending brush. Then Royal. Oopsie doopsie. It's really hard to type like this. I don't know why. And Lang Nickel. Oh, I'm really hungry all of a sudden. And it's a size 6. Yeah. So I hope that helps. Let's see here. I know from experience enough that I should not darken this. The thing is, when I look at it, I'm like, oh, isn't it a bit darker in the reference photo? Shouldn't it be? Let me move this a bit so I can slouch. shouldn't this area here be a little darker in contrast with the highlight? No. We're done. This is well lit. The ground is blinding us thanks to the light, and this is how I plan on leaving it. So yeah, just a side note for that. It can be very tempting to go and repaint and add a bit of a darker wash. No, none of that today. Let's see. How do you know what color to paint? I don't. I try. You really won't know. Sometimes it's a matter of taste. You have to kind of play around with colors. You learn what your favorite combinations are. I like to consolidate to just 3 primary colors, and that's good enough for me. So, you know. What do you think of liquid gum to cover where highlights go? Like a masking liquid? Yeah, it's good if you enjoy working with it, for sure. And it can make the process much easier. So why not? Let's see what else. That's great. Calvin Zero, yeah, finally finished my painting after 4 hours. Awesome. Send it over. I want to see it. Let's move on. I heard from an oil painter that said, says Calvin, the key to painting light isn't how bright your light is, but how dark everything else is when compared to that light. Yep, it's all relative. It is. If I'd have gone as dark as the photo, I feel like we would kill some of the light, but I really don't want to do that. It's a mistake I used to do a lot, all the time. Especially for that tree, I'd be like, oh, it's black, boom, put a black color. Because when you compare, like, even if you compare these 2 colors, you're like, oh, that green is so much darker than the paper white, and you can be tempted to go as dark, and it really is, like, and yes, I get it, this is a little darker. We can actually fold it and see, right? This is a tad bit darker, and you can see this in the comparison, but not enough to get me to paint another layer. I think I committed myself too much to not doing it, so I won't. But if you want me to, let me know, I may do it. Are those gouache? No, none of my paints are gouache. Carl Moore, you do an excellent job of describing what you're doing. It's tricky, challenging from language, left brain, and creativity. Yeah, and you know what's funny? I feel like, Carol, I used to have an easier time doing that, explaining and painting simultaneously. At some point, I started filming and then talking and narrating after the fact. And it became harder to do it. Like, I lost the muscle. And I still haven't regained the ability, at least to the extent I felt like I had it before. Donna, thank you so much for the congratulations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. I won't expose your name, though I know who you are. You make it look so simple. So sorry that I don't read your username. You make it look so simple and easy. Thank you so much. Can you show me your water cup? Yeah. Okay, it's this. It's the Mijello 3-well bucket that Steve Mitchell uses from the Mind of Watercolor. I actually got the idea from him. How funny would it be if I just whoops and spill everything on the painting? That could have been an interesting blooper. So yeah, sorry for moving the camera, but you're gonna see. Let me doing some risky maneuvers here. Show you full screen. Water bucket, cubeta de agua. Here. So yeah, that's the one by Mijello. I forgot, is it a Korean brand? But in any case, they're really, really good. So I've been using it for 5 years now, 4 years maybe. Vanessa says, I'm learning things. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to hear. The sheep looks so real. Thank you. Yeah, they do have this nice little quality to them of, they feel like they're there. I'm tempted to paint the background, but I'm not going to do it. Or maybe I will. Thank you, Monica. Thank you so much. Ray, thank you so much. Chat keeps jumping. Lydia, clap. Thank you. Annette, very nice. Liron, wow, thank you. Alison Conway, you captured the intense light and heat so well. Thank you so much. Wolfgang Soul says, thanks for sharing your skills with us. Thank you for being here and watching. Thank you, John. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Kelvin. Thank you, Mark. Kelvin says, based on my experience, darken the ground usually doesn't end well, so it's best to just have a well lit ground. Yeah, I agree in this case. Mark says, I like the darkness of the tree and leaves in the reference photo, so why not use them in your painting? Yeah, because I feel like it would kill the light. So here's the thing, if I go darker on them, I'll feel like, oh, I need the ground to be darker. And I actually like the difference between this and that. And had I used something more like this, we can do like a side experiment. Like if I go very dark, and I probably, to be fair with you, would not use just black. I'd probably mix with my primary colors. So something like this. I feel like it would have been too dark compared to the ground. And then I really eat myself for it being too, oh, I forgot an ear here. Really feel bad about it being so much darker, and then I'll have a feeling like I need to go back and darken the ground. And I feel like I don't want the focal point to be necessarily the tree that badly. I want to spread it out towards the depth. And here you see it, just all the focus goes here, but here the focus is kind of starting here and going into the picture. Okay, I hope that makes sense. But this is 100% my opinion, completely subjective. So definitely, if your instincts tell you to do something different, do it. And it will probably work for you, because that's what your instinct told you. Dragonfly Art, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for you and everyone who's active in the chat. Much appreciated. Rita, my eye doesn't know where to land. Make one the highlight more than others. Very nice. So like how dark to get the mid values? Yeah, it's a challenge. It takes so long to really get a grasp for it. Thank you, Alexander. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you so much for being here. Jacqueline, I hope I'm pronouncing your names correctly. Sorry if I don't. I'm reading your drawings. Very helpful. Thank you. Thank you, Manech. When will you go live again? Liron, next week, Thursday. As always, this is the plan for now. I believe I should go live next Thursday. Let me check this for a second, just to make sure. Let me open up my trusty calendar, and I'll check. I believe next week will be as usual, but it's going to be a very busy week. That's for sure. Yeah, we're good. We're good. Next Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, as usual for now. If there's any change, I'll let you know. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope you enjoyed getting a first look at the play button. Very happy to have received it finally. Very grateful for you. Thank you so much for being here, for supporting. I really do appreciate it. Thank you to anyone who got the courses. That's huge. Like really, the last year and a half were crazy. And to be honest with you, I wasn't that affected initially. Everyone was at home, so I actually, almost dropped water on the painting. So I actually have done really well in some months. And now as things start to open up, I actually feel a decrease, but everyone does, in sales and in views and in everything, in activity. But the last month has been really nice. So thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. And all throughout that time, you helped me. I don't want to say pull through, because it wasn't, to be honest with you, for me it wasn't that big of a struggle, and I'm very grateful for that, because I know for so many people it was, and rightfully so, because it's been rough. So yeah, this is it. If you have any last kind of questions, let me know, but I think we can wrap it up now. My mother called me to sleep. Sorry, yeah, sure, Alexander, go to bed. I'll catch you in the next one. I'm a big fan. Thank you so much. Thank you all, everyone. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. Let's do a quick recap. Oh, I didn't remove the tape. Let's remove the tape real fast, because I know people enjoy that. Real fast, we're going to remove the tape off of everything. So I planned it so that I can remove them by order. So first one, and in case you missed it, now you get a look at it. It is this one. I'll do it real fast. And we'll remove it. Went a little too dark on the background, and even too blue-purple, but that's fine. Should have muted it just a little bit more. Colors are hard to see accurately. It's so contextual. But here's the first one. I think it looks really cool with the frame. Let's set it aside. Let's do the flipperoo, and the flipperoo for this one that we said we may go back to. I'm good with it. I'm actually happy with it. Let's remove this one too, this one too, this one too. There we go. Close enough, as they say. A lot to correct here, but close enough. Some of these just elude me, and it's just a part of it. And the last one is this one, of course. So let's remove the tape. Are you ready? Can I do it? Let's do it. And with this paper, the Saunders Waterford, you don't have to worry too much, and the tape isn't too, it's It's a really good one for this purpose, so I can just rip it like that and it won't hurt the paper. Here is everything from today. Let's get rid of this. There we go. And yeah, a very prolific live stream. And it's funny how I always get the timing right, like 2 hours, right on the dot. So yeah, thank you so much once again. I won't continue blabbering. I will see you again in the next video and the next live stream too. Got a couple of really interesting ones for you, and hopefully I will improve the quality of the content and the production as well. And yeah, thank you so much for being here. We'll talk again real soon.